The World Without Visas, Around the World with Valery Shanin. The trip across Thailand, Cambodia, Laos and Myanmar became the next stage of the World Without Visas project, in which Valery Shanin travels only around the countries visa-free for Russians. On this travel, his fellow travelers became biophysicist Yuri Sprizitsky from Zelenograd, situated near Moscow, volcanologist Sergei Chernyshev, muralist Vitaly Melnichuk from Moscow, restoration architect Lyuba Shelkotunova from St. Petersburg, professor of physics Viktor Lyamichev from Chicago, and economist Katya Klimantieva from the city of Dolinsk on the island of Sakhalin. Indochina without visas. Second series. Laos. Mekong, one of the greatest rivers of Asia and the biggest river of Indochina, extends from Tibet to the South China Sea. Around the Laotian-Cambodian border during the rainy season, Mekong spreads on 14 kilometers, forming currents, rifts and falls. Rocks, islands and islets stick out of the water. The biggest of them, Det Island. It is also the largest tourist center of the region. Here there are hotels and guesthouses, restaurants and cafes. From here, the tourist routes to the largest waterfalls begin. It is a good rapid. It's possible to pass. The Khon Pekapking waterfall, the largest waterfalls of Indochina, but during the rainy season, it almost completely disappears under the powerful water flow and becomes similar not to falls but to a large rift. People lived on the banks of the Mekong River since ancient times. They grew rice, founded cities, built monasteries and temples. The ancient Buddhist temple Wat Poh was founded in the 5th century AD. Not much remained until our days from this monastery that was once a large one. The reservoir, the source of holy water, several altars, dilapidated buildings and the bas-relief of an elephant. The city of Pax, the capital of the southern Laos, is connected with Vietnam by the bus service. The 2-story sleeping buses brought from the neighboring China are also here. Inside, they look like a miniature sleeper car. Katya, how do you like it? It's okay. I will tell you everything in the morning. The capital of Laos isn't among the tourist destinations. The Buddhist temples are here, but they are not museum-like. That interests only the tourists, but alive. Local people, the majority of who consider themselves Buddhists, come here to pray and to talk to the monks, bring donations and flowers. For the majority of tourists, Vientiane is only the transit center on the way to the touristic northern part of Laos. To Vang Vieng, the fans of active travel are attracted by the rocks of bizarre shapes and the numerous karst caves in its suburbs. The caves are far from the busy roads. It is only possible to reach them by foot, and preferably with the guide. Otherwise, you may end up wandering around the rice fields for the whole day, because there are still no signs and marked tracks here. The cave of Tam Ksang, or the Elephant Cave, has received its name from a giant stalactite. Its form is surprisingly reminiscent of the head of an elephant. In this cave, the Buddhist monks from the neighboring monastery made the clay footprint of Buddha and several uniquely shaped statues. Nearby, If to go straight across the rice fields, there is the cave Tam Ui, or the Big Buddha's Cave, also known as the Spiral Cave. It is very long and deep. However, a relatively short distance is open for the tourists. Besides the Buddha statue that gave the name to the cave, there are also the vast halls, long narrow corridors, and the underground stream. It is damp and wet inside, but outside it is now the high time of the rainy season too. Luang Prabang, the city of monasteries and temples. The most touristic city of Laos. Almost all the houses in downtown are reconstructed into hotels and guest houses, cafes and restaurants, and the central street turned into a large souvenir market under the open sky. It is that same temple that I visited for the first time in the year 2000, now for the second time in 2011. Tell us about this temple. This remarkable temple is made in the form of a stupa. There are several floors in it. They are gradually narrowing. All of them are round. There is hardly anybody here. It is a quiet, calm, and meditative place. Thailand. The Thai tribes migrated from the territory of the southern China. Their first capital was the city of Chiang Rai, founded in 1262. The main Buddhist relic of Thailand magically appeared, especially here. In 1434, the ancient stupa has broken into parts from a lightning stroke. There, inside, they have found the Buddha's figurine made out of green jade. The Emerald Buddha, that is worshipped today as the main relic of the country, is now kept in the temple near the royal palace in Bangkok. And in Chiang Rai, in the temple Wat Poh, there is its copy displayed as a public exposition. Chiang Mai was the capital of the ancient state of Lanatai. The objects found in the temples and discovered during the archaeological excavations are exhibited in the museum created on the territory of the temple Wat Poh. The official religion in Thailand represents one type of Buddhism, Theravada, that can be translated as the way of the ancient. The followers of this orthodox course attempt to keep Buddha's doctrine in its original form. The new temples and monasteries are constructed in accordance with their antique examples. No innovations. Everything has to be the same as yesterday and as hundreds of years ago. It is difficult to understand from just the appearance which monastery was built 500 years ago and which was founded only yesterday. Exceptions are very seldom. The Thai artist Chalemchai Kositpipat has started the construction of a new monastery at his own expense. This, as we know, is the best way to improve personal karma. He began to build Wat Rongkun not according to the ancient examples, but following his own idea of how the modern Buddhist temple should look like. It turned out to be quite an original construction. After the temple became part of the 10 main tourist sites of Thailand, the government began to finance the construction and private investors have joined in too. And the tourists coming here make feasible contributions to the construction of the most avant-garde Buddhist temple. The city of Chiang Mai was the capital of Lanatai state. The whole part of the old town is built up with temples and monasteries. The most important of them, Wat Phra Singh. Inside of it, the gilded bronze statue of Buddha is kept. It is considered to be the second most sacred relic of Thailand. Here, they host church services, meetings, and conferences, attended by the most honored monks from across the country. The public transportation is well developed in Thailand, but still, there are some areas where it is easier and more convenient to get by car. One of the extreme corners of the country is the far northwest. This mountainous region overgrown with the dense forest was for a long time far from the world's history. The first road was constructed here by the Japanese during the World War II, and still it remains the only road connecting the northwest province of Mae Hong Son with Chiang Mai. The Mork Pha waterfall, located on the territory of the Doi Sutep National Park, waterfalls from the height of about 60 meters. During the rainy season, there is a lot of it. The powerful stream flows into the stone bed. The splashes, scattering in all the directions, wrap the bottom of the falls in a thick cloud. The hot springs of Pong Duet remind us of the geysers by their appearance. The boiling water, steam and heat, the feeling like in the Russian banya, hot bathhouse under the open sky. The road number 1095 passes across the places of sparse population. On both sides of the road, walls of woods. The northwestern corner of Thailand is divided into national parks. Once one finishes, the other one begins. The only village between Chiang Mai and Mae Hong Son that could claim to be a city, the village of Pai, with its population slightly over 2,000 people, the majority is engaged in servicing the tourists visiting this virgin corner of nature. The water easily makes its way through the karst formation. It also doesn't often provide the chance to get into the entrams created by it. The river passing through the cave of Tham Nam Lod completely blocks the entrance to it. During the rainy season, only the caves located high on the slopes of the mountains are available. In the cave with coffins, the locals buried their ancestors. There are no graves here anymore, but the name remained. In Thailand, the Buddhist monasteries are also in the large cities and in the villages, mountains and forests. Near the road number 1095, there is the forest monastery Tham Vua. Here, the monks practice meditation themselves and train anybody who wants. The students come here from all over Thailand and the neighboring countries of Indochina, as well as from Europe and America. Every Sunday, the monastery organizes an open day. In the program, there are master classes, solemn church services, and a festive lunch. The Pha Sua waterfall can be heard from the road, but it is not visible from here. It hides in the dense brushwoods of giant bamboo. There is a lot of water here during the rainy season. The current is so strong that it is impossible to swim to the foundation of the falls, and it is hardly possible to stand in one spot. The famous fish cave is only a small pit in the rock. Through the hole in the floor, they feed the carps living in the river. Buddha, as it is known to all the Buddhists, was a fish in one of his reincarnations. This is why the caring about the fishes is not just an act of mercy, but is one of the forms of sacrifice. Mae Hong Son, or the City of Three Fogs, lies in a picturesque valley, surrounded from all the direction with ridges. On the bank of the lake, overgrown with lotuses, there are two Buddhist monasteries standing shoulder to shoulder, Wat Chong Kam and Wat Chong Klang. They are not separated from each other by a fence, and they are similar by their architecture. It is difficult to understand which of the temples relates to a specific monastery. Everywhere it is the same: the wooden floors and walls, the cement-painted statues, and the bookshelves with dusty manuscripts. The temples built of teak wood remain here already for 1.5 centuries. During this period, this place collected so many statues and relics that in one of the rooms they created a small museum, looking more like a warehouse by its appearance. From the point of view of the founder of Buddhism, gold and precious stones are only garbage that disturbs us on the way to enlightenment. But the Buddhist monasteries still continue to accumulate material values. The monastery Wat Phrata Si Chom Tong Wora Vihar was founded in the 15th century. Since then, in the past years, a vast collection of Buddha figurines made of precious metals has been gathered inside here. In order to preserve them, the temple has received a huge safe with thick iron rods and bulletproof glass, and the monks serve as security guards. Thailand is a fairly small country. The express trains with sleepers are a big rarity here. One of them connects Chiang Mai with Bangkok. Inside, as in the standard couchette car, lower and upper bunks, the lower places are 1.5 times more expensive than the ones on top. And again, Bangkok is the largest transport center of Thailand and one of the largest megalopolises of Indochina. The Golden Hill, or in reality an artificial hill in the eastern part of the old city, represents one of the symbols of Hindu cosmogony, the Meru mountain, standing in the center of the world. At the top, there is the temple with a hollow stupa mounted on its roof. People come to pray here and bring their donations. From the top of the Golden Hill, there is a view opening over the roofs and channel of the old city. Up until the end of the last century, the mountain was the highest point of Bangkok. Today it is possible to get a bird's eye view not only from here, but also from the observation deck of one of the downtown skyscrapers. On the 78th floor of the Hotel Bayok Sky, there is a restaurant with a panoramic view of the business center of Bangkok. Here, the first stage of the travel across Indochina officially comes to an end. The next day, Viktor Yamichev and Lyuba Shelkotunova leave home, and the rest of the participants of the expedition will continue to Myanmar. Myanmar. Valery Shanin, Yuri Sprazitsky, Sergei Chernyshev, Vitaly Melnichuk and Katya Klemantieva have traveled through Thailand, Cambodia and Laos in 3 weeks. Ahead is the new country, Myanmar, also known as Burma.
Welcome to Myanmar.
Thank you.
The travel across Myanmar begins in Yangon. There is still no street lighting in the largest city of the country. The sidewalks and the pavement often have hollows, holes, and open hatches. In the dark, one could break legs any minute here. The pagoda of Botatong, a bright spot of light among the streets, immersed in the darkness. This cult construction is dedicated to the memory of 1,000 officers who escorted the caravan that was delivering the sacred relic from India to Burma, the 6th sacred hair of Buddha. The traditional Burmese stupas or pagodas differ in size, amount of gilding, and by the degree of their sanctity. They keep parts of the body of Buddha, his bones, teeth, or hair, as well as the sacred text, figurines out of gold and precious stones, and the relics of monks that were highly esteemed during their lifetime. Around the stupas, temples and monastic cells get constructed. Buddha statues are established. There are benches for rest and a pond is dug out or the pool is underway. This is how the original religious complex is created in Burma. It is called a paya. At the entrance to the territory of the complex, it's necessary to remove footwear. It is only possible to enter inside barefoot. In the temples and sanctuaries surrounding the stupa, except for the indispensable Buddhas, you can also see the statues of the local spirit, Nat. According to the animistic beliefs, they live both in people and in natural objects. Mountains, rivers, lakes, and trees have their own spirits. In every house, there is also the spirit living. Yangon is a young city, according to the Burmese estimates, and not absolutely Burmese. A huge contribution to its appearance was made by the English colonialists. It's them who have laid the wide direct streets, constructed the office buildings and church. Burmans have proved themselves only in the construction of pagodas. The stupa of Visaya, one of the newest pagodas of Yangon. It was built in the 1980s with donations collected from all over the country. On one hand, the builders have tried to meticulously reproduce the classical examples, and on the other, have unleashed their imagination. The Burmese pagodas are open to everyone, from early morning to late evening. It is something between a church and a cultural center. Everybody can be engaged in what they want here. Of course, provided that they don't disturb the others. Here, they make sophisticated sacrifices, meditate, photograph each other, enjoy dinners and sleep. By the legend in the basis of the Shwedagon Pagoda, a valuable relic was placed, one of the 6 hair of Buddha that have reached the territory of Burma. The golden stupa was positioned over the shrine. It was covered by the silver, tin, copper, lead, marble, iron and brick stupas. And somewhere in the depth of the brickwork, there is also a secret chamber. Inside it, there is a golden boat swaying on water that rises and drops together with the water level in the Mekong River during the high and low tides. The first documentary evidence of this pagoda's existence refers to the 14th century. Back then, the construction reached the height of only 18 meters. In the second half of the 15th century, they have constructed a terrace, balustrade and several surrounding walls. Later, the stupa was built up to the height of 90 meters and was entirely covered with gold. Then it was reconstructed several times, and now this construction is over 100 meters high, with a circle of 460 meters in diameter at its base. For the lazy and weak, there were 3 lifts made. The rest climbed to the base of the stupa, standing on the hill, by one of the 4 covered stairways. In Burma, there is a cult of sacred numbers. The number 8 is simply revered. 8 astrological signs, 8 cardinal points, 8 planets, 8 basic colors, and even the number of days in the week is also 8 here. Wednesday was divided into 2 days, before and after dinner. For the Burmese Buddhist, it is important to know what day of the week they were born on. After all, each day has its own respective zodiac sign, color, planet, and lucky number, and even, according to the Burmese, certain psychological features. So, for example, it is considered that those born on Monday are jealous and changeable, on Tuesday, honest and reliable, on Wednesday in the forenoon, quiet and lovely, and in the afternoon, unfriendly and unstable. Born on Thursdays are balanced, and on Friday are garrulous and talkative. The worst character is of those who were born on Saturday. They are quick-tempered, grumpy, petty tyrants, and those who were born on Sunday, on the contrary, have an angelic character. It is easy to notice the 8 that is the cornerstone of the Burmese picture of the universe. In the architecture of Shwedagon Pagoda, the stupa is divided into 8 parts, corresponding to the days of the week, parts of the world, and astrological signs. In the temples surrounding the gold stupa, there are hundreds of Buddha statues, not differing much from each other, and every day there are more and more of them. These statues are put for improvement of karma of those who donated money for them. More expensive statues stand on more honorable places. They are bigger by the size and also made of more valuable materials. The more money you spend, the better the karma will be cleared. The more money will be in the following life. Well, at least, the Burmese Buddhists think so. The railway in Myanmar was constructed by the British. The stations, depot, access railroads, and all train carriages that passed since the moment of gaining their independence haven't changed at all for the past half of a century. Looks like they are eternal values in life. The central railway station in the center of Yangon opened in 1954. Since then, it wasn't reconstructed or repaired. The tickets don't get printed, but carefully written with ball pens. The traces of technical progress are visible only in the waiting hall. The lamp TV set and plastic chairs have appeared here only after the British. The rails are worn out. Locomotives and train cars are old. The 15th, isn't it? From Yangon to Mandalay, there are only 622 kilometers. The fastest express goes with an average speed not exceeding 40 kilometers per hour. Also, this distance takes approximately 15 hours, while the journey costs not much, even with the fact that tickets are sold to foreigners only in foreign currency, $15 in the common car and $33 inside the sleeper. The standard carriage of the Burmese train by its appearance is reminiscent of the car of the suburban electric trains in Russia. The seats are designed for the average Burman, whose proportions are much smaller than average Europeans. It is better to pay more and change into a sleeper. They have received a good benefit. They happily sit now. There are no seating cars in the train, only compartments, and almost all are completely empty. The conductors are bored and they come to talk to us. The waiters from the dining car don't leave you alone until you order something. In Myanmar, the most part of the country is closed for foreigners. It is only possible to look at provinces unaffected by the tourist infrastructure from a train window. The train has arrived to Mandalay in the peak of a heavy tropical rain. In such weather, very few people risk to get from under their roofs. It is impossible to hide from the rain at the station. There is water already up to the ankle and it continues to flow. It was hardly light yet as the showers stopped at once. During the night, the city was flooded, as though the universal flood has fallen upon it. Land and water means of transport have mixed up in the streets. Right here, there are cheerful pedestrians going waist deep in water.